Hey everyone, this is Nate with Aero Tech Designs, back with another tips and tricks video. This one is about wrapping your handlebars. Hang out with me here for a little while and I'll show you the proper technique for making your bar tape look neat, tidy, and professional. The first thing you want to do, take some Scotch tape and tape your cables to your handlebars. You're going to be wrapping over top of them. Make sure that's nice, neat, and snug. Okay, so to start wrapping your bars, you need to start at the bottom of your drops, put the tape on the bar, and leave a little bit overhanging. Then you're going to wrap in a direction away from the bike. So over the top of the bar, away from the bike, back under and around as you layer up. Now when you do this, you want to leave a little more than half of the bar tape exposed with each layer. If your tape has a logo on it, a lot of times this can be very useful as a way to measure and make sure that all of your layers are even and spaced properly. All right, once you wrap up to your hoods or your shifters, you'll have to wrap around them. There's two ways to do this. The first method, the old school method, is called the figure eight, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so you're going to start this process as you come around from the inside of the bar. You're going to take the tape and then wrap it coming from the outside over top of the hood. Okay, and then as you come back around, you'll come underneath the hood, the back side of the bar again, wrap below the shifter, underneath, and then come back from under the bar and over top again. And this will set you up to wrap around the top of the bar. Okay, before we go too far, you're going to want to check your work. So wrap it a few more layers up on the top of the bar there, just to keep it in place. And then pull the hood back down over the shifter, over your bar tape, and just double check to make sure there's no gaps and everything looks nice and neat. If there is an issue, just unwrap it and do it again. There's no limit to how many times you can redo the process. And once you get it all looking good and neat, you can continue on. All right, so the second method is the cheater strip method. There's nothing wrong about doing it this way. I'm just poking fun. A lot of times when you buy bar tape, they're going to give you these little 2-inch or 3-inch little strips so that, to make the whole process easier. And I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. All right, so you're going to take that little 2 or 3-inch strip there and you're going to place it on the back side of the bar behind the shifter, like over top of the clamp. And essentially what this allows you to do is to just continue to wrap in the same pattern you were before without having to do a bunch of crossovers or anything like that. So just keep wrapping around, and then once you get to the shifter, you'll wrap it around the shifter and then come back underneath and outside over the top of the bar and then keep wrapping along. You'll want to do the same thing you did before, wrap it up a little bit, and then pull the hood down, double check your work, make sure it all looks good and nice and neat and there's no gaps. And yeah, it's real easy, and if your box of bar tape comes with these little strips in it, there ain't no shame in using it. Put it on there, makes your life easier, still looks good. Cool. All right, now you're just going to continue to wrap the bar tape around till you get to the cutoff point, like where you've measured out that you want to cut your tape and finish it on top of the bars there. All right, so this is the part that requires a little bit of thoughtfulness and precision. So you'll be wrapping your bars, wrap them until the point that you want the wrap to stop, and then take your knife or scissors or whatever. You'll need to score the bar tape parallel to the stem, perpendicular to the bar of where you want it to stop. Okay, so right on that scored line you just made, go ahead and cut the bar tape. And It'll produce an angle, but when you wrap it around, you'll see that it will create a nice edge that is parallel to the stem, perpendicular to the bars. So now when you tape it, make sure that you run the tape in the same direction of your wrap. That way, if the wrap were to try to unwind itself, it can't. It would be pulling against itself as you have it taped. Okay, so go back down to the bottom of your drop there. You'll want to trim off a little bit of the extra. Say if you've overlapped it too much, you can trim off a little bit. And then you're going to fold the extra bar tape into the bar as you plug it. That extra bar tape will help keep the plug in place. All right, there you have it. You've just wrapped the handlebar. And if you've done it right and your bar tape has a logo on it, you'll see that it should make a really cool pattern and look really, professional and cool and whatnot. Not all bar tape has these logos on them, but the ones that do are really helpful. So if this is your first time wrapping a bar, I would suggest getting some bar tape that has a logo like this does here. All right, so I just finished up wrapping the bars here on my own road bike. And one thing I wanted to talk about is why you start the tape at the bottom and work up. And that has to do with the ridges of the tape. So as you overlap, there's going to be a ridge that you create on each wrap. The reason that you go from the bottom up is that as you would move your hand down the bar, you don't want to be moving your hand into the ridge of the tape. You want it to be sliding over top. So this layer is on top of that layer, on top of that layer, on top of that layer. So if your hands are here and you move down into your drops, you're sliding down with the ridge and you're not going to be pulling against the tape. Same thing up top. If you're sitting up top here and you're just cruising and you need to quickly get into your hoods here, you don't want to slide your hand into the ridge. You want to slide your hand over top of each one so it moves smoothly. You don't mess up your tape and you're right there onto your hoods. As far as wrapping the bar on top this way or this way, you're going to see people do it both ways. Neither one is wrong. I've always done it this way from underneath and over. I thought it always looked consistent with the bar on the bottom. And whenever you do your figure eight, it always ends up that way for me anyway. And I end up using less tape to do the figure eight, and it gives me more tape on the top of the bar that allows it to make it easier to wrap up top. If you want to do your bar this way on the top, that's fine. Some people say that's better because if you're sitting on the flats up here and you spin your hand back, you'd be, moving the tape into itself. I don't know who's twisting their tape on the top like this while they're riding. I've never done that, but I guess if you spend a lot of time here, then maybe you'll want your tape the other way. But either way is fine. It's not wrong either way. It's just personal preference. This is the way I like to do it. The most important thing is that you start from the bottom up to the top. Make sure that you're equidistant here. Measure this out, the distance between your stem and where you want your bar tape to end. Measure that, make sure it's even. The last thing you want to do is have uneven tape and then you're sitting in looking at it and then you think your front wheel is crooked because nothing optically, you got this weird illusion going on. So measure that, mark that, and yeah, bar tape's not that hard. The little figure eight pattern here can be a little confusing, but nothing's permanent. If you mess it up, you can always unwrap and start over. Anyway, that's how you do bar tape. Cool.